Hello, and welcome again to The View from Here, Behind Enemy Lines. I'm sitting here with a very interesting gentleman. In fact, Michael and I have spoken between ourselves about Taki, and I consider him the most interesting man in the world.
Oh,
I
God.
think he's the model for the commercials for Dos Equis. Okay,
I think so too.
Taki, uh, he is a bon vivant. He's an author. He's written several books. What's your latest book now?
It's called The Last Alpha Male, and it's a well, I mean, it's a narrative. It's a book about my whole life. It's all in there.
Has it been published yet, or is it
Yes,
coming
it's
out?
been published by
Been
Passage
published already.
Press, and it had some good reviews. Great review in Chronicles. Very good review by some professor. Very highfalutin professor I never heard of. I apologize for these glasses. I haven't gone Hollywood. It's just I'm losing the sight of my left eye, and I have to have something done. It's gone.
No, probably cataract or something.
No, it's worse than that.
Oh, worse.
Anyway,
Okay. Anyway.
but that's about it. And the book has got good reviews, but it somehow hasn't been mentioned by the lefty press at all. I don't know why. I wonder why.
It's probably because you are independent and you do what you want, and you don't follow the norms. Just for
No.
example, as President Trump doesn't follow the norms for politicians, and they hate him for it. You are probably despised by the left that wants you to act a certain way and so forth. Which is why we're here. I mean, I know most of it's in your book, and I don't want to spoil the book. I
No,
want
you don't
people
spoil
to
the
get
book.
it. But I'd like you to give us a quick rundown of your adventures, shall we say.
I was a columnist for the London Spectator, which is the world's oldest magazine, for 47 years, and for the Sunday Times in London, and over here for Esquire and the New York Post. I've done all that, but before that, my father was a ship owner and an industrialist. And of course, I went through the Second World War. Greece was conquered by the Germans, and my father had a very brilliant career. He left with one, I think it was a regiment of the Greek army, then managed to get to Egypt and continue the fight. Anyway, after the war, my father, who was an industrialist, was convinced that the Allies wouldn't hold the line after Czechoslovakia went communist in 1948. So he sent me to school in America. And I came here without speaking a word of English. I went to Lawrenceville wearing what you call +4s. We call it golf. People used to wear it when played golf.
Right.
And I looked rather strange because people wore trousers. I was 11. Anyway, I went through prep school in America, 6-7 years, and I went to University of Virginia.
Okay.
And I did well in sports, and I eventually learned how to speak English. And then afterwards, I was on the tennis circuit for about 10 years, which was fun. Tennis back then was not taken so seriously, and tennis was played in country clubs. And country clubs, as you probably know, are full of young girls. And I was mad about young girls and played tennis in order to meet girls. Anyway, so I wasn't very successful in tennis. I got very close to beating. We had a terrible match with a man called, well, I'll tell you, she's very well known now. He played for Yale and I played for Virginia. A man called Dick Raskin. He had a big left-handed serve. We played on a fast service and he just won.
Ooh.
And afterwards he became a woman and he became ranked number 4th in the world, the 5th. Renee Richards is her name.
Oh,
famous ophthalmologist.
I remember Renee Richards.
Yeah, because I remember when he beat me, he was 20, I was 18. He looked so depressed. I said to him, we shook hands at the net, and I said to him, oh, you look like a loser. Oh, what's wrong with you? And he gave me a dirty look. I couldn't understand if you win a match,
Right.
why hang a face? And obviously he was having trouble of his own, deciding what sex he was.
Yeah, Dr. Renee Richards, right?
Dr. Renee Richards. So I wrote a column saying how I lost to a woman. The funny thing is that I used to practice in Europe every day. We became friends. We used to hit balls with each other with Althea Gibson. She was the first African American to win Wimbledon and the Forest Hills, which was the Nationals then. And we were about even. We never played a match because in those days, this is in the late 50s, you're not going to try that hard because you're afraid to be trying hard against a woman. But we hit and we were about the same, and I was really bad on the circuit. I was one of the worst players on the circuit. She was the best. We were friends. So when they talk about today, I mean, this is a joke. When Billie Jean King beat Bobby Riggs, I know exactly what it did because I knew Bobby very well. Bobby didn't throw the match. He just didn't practice. So he looked like an old man when he didn't touch a racket for about a month before the match.
Oh,
he knew how to do that because if you know tennis, you can see when somebody misses on purpose. You can miss the easiest shot in the world, not on purpose, but when you're drawing points, the good ones would have been able to tell. So what he did is he didn't practice, and he looked like the old man, which he was 55. Billie Jean played well.
So he took it for granted that he was going to win.
No, he bet against himself.
Oh, did he?
Bobby was a terrific. He's no longer with us, but he's a terrific crook. He played. He was. I think he was scratch in golf, and he had a 12 handicap, things like that. And he was very good playing tennis. I mean, he knew exactly what to do. And he played till very late in life, always betting against himself, for himself. He knew.
He was a con man.
Well, he was known for that. But it's a pity because he won all three events at Wimbledon, mixed, doubles, and singles in 1939. He was ranked number one. He was tiny. I met him long after his peak, but anyway, we became friends. But he was a bit too much of a hustler for me. So anyway, after tennis, I started writing. I didn't want to work for my father. I don't know why. I should have. And that's it. The book is about all the fun I had because, I've always had a boat, beautiful sailing boats, and I've always pursued the fairer sex, if we're allowed to say so these days. And I had a lot of fun because after the war, Europe was the way America was after the First World War, the Roaring 20s. All of Europe was mad to have fun because we had gone 5 years of total
terrible time.
Well, yeah, it wasn't half as bad as a movie show. There were still parties, and the French had very good time, and so did the English, and everybody had a good time. I mean, I think Greece was the least amusing part because there was no food, and there were too many people hungry in the streets, so you could go and amuse yourself. You couldn't. You had to buy food black market. Otherwise, the French had a very good time during the war, as did the Brits. So after the war, I just hit it just right. Paris was fantastic. And to be 20 years old, to be known as a tennis player, and to be in Paris is pretty good. I remember there was a ball. I didn't know anybody in Paris. I got an invitation. I knew a couple of people. And I went to the ball, and there was this lady. She said she was Countess. I'll tell you exactly what her name was, Countess Rochambeau. So when I went up to her, I said, "Good evening, thank you very much for it. May I ask you, speaking in French, why did you invite me? You don't know me." She said in English, "My name is Sheila McIntosh from Kentucky, and I'm Countess Rochambeau, and I heard that you had good manners and you were nice looking, so I invited you." And she was married to the direct descendant of the great Rochambeau, who's helped you win your independence. He's the one, the French admiral, who came and pushed Cornwallis down south.
He was the one in charge,
In charge, and more of a hero than Lafayette. Anyway, it was like that. It was open. Paris, the society was open. It was wonderful. And I stayed there till I became, I think, 35, 40, and then I moved to London for career purposes.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Well, it's not about it. I mean, you were always, what one would term a playboy because you've dated a lot of famous women as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of pictures in the book. It's full of pictures of my sporting career, of my womanizing career. I don't understand. They did a very good job physically with the book, but they haven't pushed it that much. I don't know what it is, but Nobody reads anymore.
That's the problem with the younger people. They don't read, and what they'll read, they don't like the feel of a book anymore.
No.
They prefer reading on.
Can you imagine? I see them. I was just in the park. Everybody. I was the only person without a telephone in his hand in front of their face. I didn't see a single person. I've never seen him since I've been back now since 3 weeks. I've never seen a newspaper in the park. It used to be everybody had a newspaper, and I saw one. She was a rather pretty girl too, very studiously reading the book. And when I tried to get near to see what book she was reading, she sort of gave me a dirty look, so I kept going.
Probably a textbook or something. But
Well,
the kids they read these short things, and that's it.
I have a question for you, Taki.
Sure.
Since you've written the book, The Last Alpha Male, and since you just mentioned the fact that many of the young people are somewhat misdirected and behind the times, so to speak, I was thinking this would be a perfect time to ask you, are there 3 things that you would tell the young men out there that they're doing wrong and that they can easily change?
I'm not a very good person for advice because I never took advice myself. And I regret it, of course, because I should have, instead of studying the classics, when I was at university in Virginia, I studied tennis in Sweetbriar, which was the girls' college near us. But I think what people regret the most once they get older is a young man. I would tell him, if you read the classics, you cannot go wrong, because you see the future in the past. And I've noticed that. I mean, Boris Johnson was my editor of the Spectator for 10 years, became British Prime Minister. He's a terrible person, meaning he drinks, he womanizes, he gets caught, gets divorced. He let in 2 million unregistered. He did bad things, but he's never been able to be caught with a short answer or a bad answer or a no answer by the press, because he's a classicist. And all he has to do is look back, and there's thousands of quotes that he has in his mind because he's a classicist, and he comes back with things which the journalists never know what, usually in Latin or in ancient Greek. And of course, I speak some ancient Greek. I speak perfect modern Greek, but I speak some ancient Greek. My father spoke perfect ancient Greek. And if I'd studied more of the classics, I would have had more fun, I think, in life, because everything comes up in the past. We forget that. Forget the science and technology that has, of course, way ahead. But every situation you will ever come up with it has happened before, and the ancient ones have written about it. Be it the Romans or the Greeks, they've written about it, and that's what I would advise. It's great if you want to be wise, and if you don't want to be badly surprised by life, read the classics, and you won't.
That's what I was going to say. Was the classics then are really a fountain of wisdom?
Exactly, fountain of wisdom.
Actually, sounds like good advice, Taki. So maybe people should ask for more advice, because you seem to be good at it, and maybe the only thing holding you back from giving good advice is you don't believe enough in yourself. Taki, believe in yourself. That was good advice. I like it.
My grandson has a class where he's studying the Odyssey.
Right.
But he's not reading the entire book because they go only on chapters. And I said, well, why don't you read the book on yourself? But he's doing advanced classes and college level classes.
Wow.
He's a senior now. Yeah. And he's going to go to RPI.
Good.
And he said he doesn't have time to read the book on his own. And the class, they don't go chapter by chapter. They only go on sections. So they're getting an incomplete education, basically.
Well, still, I mean, just reading enough of it. The funny thing about the Odyssey is that Odysseus, or Ulysses, as the West called it, he does fool around all the time. And whenever he gets into trouble, he calls on some goddess to help him. He's a terrific womanizer. And I love the idea that Penelope doesn't cheat on him for 20 years. Now, I'd love to see some American feminists approve of such behavior. I think it's quite funny. Obviously, it was made up by a blind poet, if Homer wrote that. But we have a lot of fun in. You see, when I was literally not still unable to read, but the first things we read, the first things we heard as Greeks was the Iliad and the Odyssey, and Sparta, and we were taught that honor and courage are the two most important things. Now, obviously, maybe Christian education is better, but all I can tell you is this: when I see some of the weenies today, I'm not on the side of thugs who go around fighting, but learning about honor and courage when you're very small does get you through life pretty much undisturbed. Because, my mother was a Spartan, and the 12th generation Spartans, and they were very proud of it. And of course, Sparta was a military oligarchy. This week in the American Conservative, I'm writing about that. Athens was a real democracy. I'm talking about 3,000 years ago.
Right.
Total democracy, of course, by the elite. They had slaves, but the slaves couldn't vote, but the rest of the rich people voted. So the Athens and, of course, the Spartans looked at upon the Athenians as girly men. They said, it was military. And they were sort of like North Korea, but you couldn't be fat and ugly like this guy, Kim. You had to be good looking, strong, and attractive to women to lead the Spartans, which wouldn't go off very well in today's climate. But anyway, the Spartans, after 30 years, so that's why I wrote the article, you never know how wars finish. I hope this thing is over very soon, because I feel sorry for the unarmed population of Iran. I want America to win, but quickly. But don't forget, I voted for Trump. I did not vote for Netanyahu. And Netanyahu, I think, is the Iago who's doing all the, he's leading the way. The Americans had to go in because the Israelis were going to go in anyway. But the Israelis, as we can see, would not have done the job at all as well, because combined, they're still fighting after 3 weeks. Yeah. They thought it was going to be 3 days. Iran is 90 million people.
Right.
And they're well entrenched, meaning the heads of it. They're brutal, and they will not give up easily.
And they're the only ones who are armed.
The only ones who are armed, exactly. So you're not going to have the revolution from inside. I think that the Americans were badly advised by the Israelis on purpose. That's what I think, but I have no proof for anything.
Well, the Kurds
have killed 50,000 people who were revolting.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, Mike.
The Kurds have actually entered Iran, and they're going to be a significant ground force.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I heard Turkey has a problem with that, and threatened to go to war if the Kurds got involved.
Well, yeah, the Turks they only care about the Kurds. They don't care about their. But I was hoping that the troops wouldn't be boots on the ground, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the Persians have always been our traditional enemies. I'll tell you something. I don't know I can't remember if it's in the book. I certainly don't mention it because, I mentioned maybe, but I don't mention names. I had a sort of, went out with Soraya, who was the wife of the ex-Shah. And she was a pretty one, and he got rid of her because she couldn't have a child. And I remember we were going out in Paris, and she said, don't ever talk about it because the Shah will have you killed. I said, the Shah couldn't kill him. Rat, for God's sake. Anyway, he was pretty brutal himself, the Shah, and he was useless. He lost a throne that the Americans gave him in 1953, Kim Roosevelt. Iran has always been manipulated by other people.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1953, the only prime minister was elected popular vote was, his name was Mohammed Mossadegh.
Mossadegh, yes.
And he used to go out with his pajamas in the morning. And of course, the Americans thought it was very funny that he would address the mobs, the people. He was very popular. You know why the Americans overthrew him? Because he had a very good idea, which I would have done the same thing. He nationalized the oil. The oil was his. He said, it's our oil. He took it back.
Right.
Quicker than you can say Mohammed. The CIA had sent Teddy Roosevelt's grandson, Kim Roosevelt.
Okay.
And he overthrew him.
Oh, he's the one who was behind it? Oh, I
He was
didn't
a very
know that.
good-looking guy, Kim Roosevelt, and had a lot of success with affair and sex. And he overthrew Mossadegh and brought in the Shah.
Okay.
So the Shah is not a legitimate leader.
Right.
Yeah, BS.
But I'm surprised that President Trump has not delivered arms directly to the people I call Persians, the real Iranians.
I don't think he could have, could he?
No, I mean within the last 3 weeks.
Within the last 3
maybe.
weeks. I think it's a very big country. It's bigger than England, France, and Germany put together.
Uh-huh.
And look how that colonel got away. I mean, it took so many people 2 days to find him. I've been in the distances are vast. The country is very rough. I don't know how. Nobody's ever taken it except for a Greek called Alexander the Great.
Alexander, yeah.
He took it, but he did it the other way. First of all, he beat Darius. Then he married his daughter. He was already married to Roxanne.
He declared himself king.
He married her. He knew how to play the game. He knew how to play the game, Alexander. But that was 3,000 years ago, I guess. Ever since then, it's rough. I hope the Americans don't commit too many troops in there because they could get bogged down.
Yeah, I don't think Trump wants to do that. I hope not.
Have gone to Hormuz.
Mike, can you turn your volume up a little bit?
Yes.
Sure, will do. Okay, so I'll get a little closer too.
Yeah.
There have been engagements on land with on Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz, and it was Marines, and then I believe Navy SEALs did some precision stuff inside, and supposedly they destroyed the vast majority of their ability to be able to drop mines and stuff in the water. So, so that was done a few days ago. I mean, I feel like we're looking like Iran is like a big clown car, and every time when you think you've run out of clowns, another one pops out. It's just amazing how.
I mean, I was giving him 3-4 days, as Trump said, with the Israelis bombing the hell out of them, the Americans bombing strategically, and they keep coming up exactly like you said, like these. Anyway.
Well, they planned for years, and the Russians have been helping them all along.
Well, I don't
for a
know.
long time.
I'm not so, but the Russians can't. Russians have trouble helping themselves at the moment.
True.
And they can't help much. All I can tell you is this. The Greek ship owners and the Norwegian ship owners are making, there are going to be a lot of billionaires around after this, because when the straits close, when the Suez closed in 56 and in 52 the Korea, 56, the charters, the price go way up. When the Hormuz closes, that really makes them go around,
And they're going to be charging through the nose.
Through the nose. So they're making a lot of money. So if you have any nice daughters you want to marry to Greek ship owners, now is the time to engage the fellows.
Oh, wow.
If they get into as much trouble as you do, Taki, I don't think I want that. I want that option.
No.
We've gotten into enough trouble on our own.
I know. That's what happens.
The trouble in 1984, he had an Orwellian experience. Do you want to talk about that, Taki?
Sure.
1984.
Sure. The funny thing is I had 2.5 grams because I went to Studio 54 and I wanted to buy something, and they said, take it or leave it. I said, well, I just want a snort, for God's sake. Anyway, I bought 2.5 grams of Coke, stuck it in my pocket because I was flying the next day to England. I said, the hell with it. I went home, went to bed, Next day, I arrived, landed, and as I had it in the back on an envelope. As I was going through customs, I went through, do you have anything to declare? Nothing. He looked at my bag, nothing. I had a house in London, I had a flat in London, so I only had a carry-on. As I was leaving, this man said, "You're going to lose that envelope in your back pocket." And I sort of touched it, and because sometimes I'm a wise guy, stupidly, I said to him, "Oh, thank you. If only you knew what was in it." And suddenly he crooked his finger and said, "Come back
They have
here."
no sense of humor.
And I knew that my life would change forever. And I got 4 months, which I served 3 months because in Pentonville, and
Ooh.
it was quite an experience. But I'll tell you what happened. The first day, I was in there, and I had to sew buttons, and I don't know how to sew, and I wasn't doing it. So the guard came over and he said, "You're going to go to the punishment block. You're not doing it." I said, "I don't know how to sew. I dress at Anderson and Shepherd." He said, "Did you rob Anderson and Shepherd?" I said, "No, I didn't rob Anderson and Shepherd. It's my tailor." He said, "You don't dress at Anderson and Shepherd. I work there." He was part-time. I said, "Well, go and ask Halsey." Well, Halsey was a very nice man. He used to fit me out. He happened to like boys, and I ran into him in Mykonos, which is a horrible island in Greece, all the gays and go. And I was there.
The Greek Fire Island.
Yeah, Greek Fire Island. And I was there on my boat, and I saw Halsey, and I said, "Mr. Halsey, come here. Do you know where to go?" He said, "No." I said, come with me. And I took him to a friend's bar, which was a gay bar. I said, "If you go in there, you'll be fine." Anyway, to make a long story short, he was always very nice. I did all my clothes there. I still do. I don't order anymore. I'm at my age. But anyway, so the screw, or the guard, as we call him, the screw went that night at Anderson Shepherd and Savile Row and asked for Mr. Halsey, who he said, "There's a guy I have in prison called Taki." He said, "Not only is he one of our best clients, he's the nicest client we have. Do anything you want for him." So the next day, the guy came, and he was very respectful. "Hello, Mr. Taki." I said, "What's happened?" He said, "I spoke to Halsey." I said, "Yes." "What would you like?" I said, "The gym." "You got it." So I spent 3 months as a gym orderly, which was all I did was hit the bag. And, when they came in just to run around, I used to go into my cubicle and just be quiet. And I spent 3 months training, and it was perfect. So I wasn't exactly a trouble. And I got a book out of it called Nothing to Declare, which got very good reviews. But
So how many books have you written?
I've written about 6 books. The first one was a history book, The Greek Upheaval. The second one had a foreword by Tom Wolfe. And yeah, very nice forward. He called me all sorts of good, very nice names. Like he said, I'm the Greek Celine. Celine was a famous French author. He was a friend of mine, Tom, and we got along famously. And then I wrote a couple of collections, and then, of course, Nothing to Declare. And now, The Last Alpha Male. I think maybe if there's one more book, maybe, but I don't know.
Well, hopefully.
Well,
you should talk about your maybe you should write a short book at least about your current involvement with martial arts, even at your age.
Well, yes, but I mean, it's sort of embarrassing because, when I'm 89, but I'm going to be 90 this August.
Yeah.
And of course, I go to the gym and in class, I fight with everybody, but you never know if they're taking it easy or not because I'm an 8th, the good black belt. You never know because good black belts know how to. I don't want to talk about it, but
do you still have the Bushido sailboat?
Well, I haven't. I don't. I'm giving it. I'm giving it away because nobody goes on it anymore. And I have my my wife hates it because we used to take a lot of people on board. You'd need 6 or 7 crew, and now most of my friends are too old to go. Being on a sailing boat, although it was very luxurious and very large, is still, you
A lot
still,
of work
well, it's
to do.
not
Physical.
myself physical, but I find myself with thick ankles swell up. You know, you don't get enough exercise. I have to pull in and go out to find some place to walk because sitting on a boat all day, all you do is eat and drink. It's very unhealthy.
Wait a second. Wait a second, Taki. We're not talking about just a boat. We're talking about 37.5 meter long, you know, battleship that you had. And
Yeah, but he's
you
still 37 and a half feet. I mean,
No,
how much are you going
meters.
to walk up and down and maybe,
meter,
a wave hits and you're
Right.
overboard?
No, but no,
no,
it's
37 and a half
wonderful boat.
meters.
Meters.
Almost,
Oh, meters.
37. You know, it was a wonderful boat,
Oh,
and it
wow.
was all black, always black boat. I've always all the boat because a sailing boat black, although it attracts heat
Yeah.
and it's bad for the med, but it's still so much better looking a black sailing boat than
yeah.
a white one.
You ever
It's like,
run a Jolly Roger off it?
well, no, yeah, but
This
you need a
this
lot of crew.
he is so interesting because he's got so many little pieces of information squirreled away in his life. He's gone. He's had the fortune of being with some of the most beautiful women in the world. He was representing his country in Olympics. You know,
Yeah, that was
he's,
what I was
he's
going to ask you about. You weren't a good
yeah,
tennis player, I would say, but you were in the Olympics doing something else.
Well, I was
for skiing.
Davis Cup for Greece, and I was in the Olympics. I was. We only went on the ski team, but that was nothing.
You did play the Davis Cup?
Oh yeah.
And you say you were not that good a tennis player?
We beat Switzerland. That was before Federer, though. There were no go. We beat him 3-2. I lost both my singles, but we won the doubles, and
Okay.
my partner won both his singles. He won Junior Wimbledon. He's still with us, and I have to take care of him sometimes. Anyway, but no, tennis was lots of fun, but martial arts is not much fun because you're always nervous about getting hurt because it's violent.
Yes, especially as you get older.
As you get older.
Yeah.
But I mean, martial arts, I did a lot of tournaments in martial arts. I was captain of the Greek team and judo. Anyway,
Yeah,
but,
I did martial arts years ago too, but
yeah, you get banged up.
Yeah, you do.
Too much, sure.
The last thing I did, we got banged up. Mike and I used to go and play paintball when we were in our 30s and 40s. Actually, my sons took me on my 60th birthday,
Yeah.
and again on my 65th birthday to play paintball.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I've
and I was
taken
running around more than I did when I was in my
When
30s.
you're in your 30s.
But I can't. I doubt if I was as serious as you are. But I put about 10 years into martial arts, and
What
yeah.
did you do?
Taekwondo, Gojo,
Yeah.
Ishanru, and Aikido.
Aikido. Well, Aikido is.
Ishinru, you and I are in the same system.
Yeah.
Mr. Gossett started Ishinru.
Okay.
Was it
Yeah,
good?
I like because it was
started Ishinru. He was in Goshindo,
Yeah,
and then he started Ishinru. No, or was it the other way around?
the other way around.
It might be the other way around.
Yeah, Ishinru was great because it was very practical. It wasn't as grandiose and it's
No, it was Ishinru that Mr. Gossett started.
Yeah.
But I also was fortunate enough to learn something under Alvin Lee, who was the creator of Wushu Kung Fu, and he's actually was in one or two books as recognized as one of the boys. He could do crazy things like stop his heart and start it again. He was.
Oh.
That,
I don't know.
yeah.
Well, all I can tell you is I think all martial arts, they're all actually, it's all the same. It's still punching and kicking and blocking and evading. So all these styles, there's a big difference, and everybody sticks for the style. I never fell for that. I've done Shotokan all my life, but the water Rio is the same.
Yeah.
I think Taekwondo is the only one that's a little bit different because it's more like touch football. Just touching.
Mainly feet, too.
Mainly feet. And in the street, you learn. You never lift your feet. First of all, you're wearing shoes. Second of all, if you miss with the foot, you're finished because you're up there. And anyway, but the rest of them, I think, all martial. You can be the worst style in the world and be the best martial artist. And you can be in the best style in the world and be a bad martial artist. So
Yeah.
Right. Well, the thing is, what I liked most about Aikido was because it was taken from sword technique. Your feet were always on the ground,
Yeah,
and its primary teaching seemed to be positioning, like just
yeah,
trying to position you. And yes, it had judo type throws and stuff like that. But
right.
the thing is that the problem with Aikido is it takes a lot more training to be proficient at it because it's
Oh,
circular.
for that, oh, no, no, it's impossible. I know, Aikido, but I wanted to tell you something, Mike. What I found, what I saw in a film, something which I thought I was the only one who knew that. And then after the story, if I may, I might have to sort of wrap it up because,
Okay.
anyway, in 1970, I was in Gstaad, in the winter chalet, and I had hung a piece of paper with a weight at the end, and I was doing some kicks because I was competing for Greece. I was a Greek champion. So I was doing my training in the winter after skiing, and suddenly this door opened, and I saw this man who I recognized immediately because he had been in the news. Horrible. It was Roman Polanski,
Oh.
who
Oh, wow.
his wife had been butchered 6 months earlier. And
Oh
he
man.
said, I said, excuse me, this is private. He said, I'm next door because my chalet was connected with another chalet where my brother lived. So he came in. I said, it's still, excuse me, I know who you are. It's still private. Please get out. To make a long story short, Roman didn't, we're very friendly now, very friendly. I'm talking about this is 1970.
Right.
And the wife was in every time he'd see me, he'd go make some sounds and lift his leg. And I said to him, look, when I see you, I don't go like this. You're a cinematographer. And to make a long story short, I sort of gave him one open hand to the face. Said, just cut it out, go away, or something. 2 days later, I was walking into the Palace Hotel to play backgammon, and I saw somebody who I recognized, but I pretended not to. And he stood up. I looked at him. He looked at me. He bowed, I bowed. To make a long story short, Polanski had called Bruce Lee to come over from California to beat me up. So Bruce Lee and he said to me, who's your teacher? I said, Mr. Nueda. Well, he's no good. I said, say it to his face and you'll see how no good he is. And to make a long story short, we got along famously. We started training together. And of course, he told Roman, look, come on, Taki's not at all a wise guy. He was very respectful with training. And I said to Roman, oh, God, what are you, crazy? He says, well, I wanted him to come over anyway. So, all right, fine. This was done, finished, we became friends. And when I used to do a side kick, I know he would just move this much, just this much, even less. And of course, it would annul the force of the kick, just a little bit. When when he was kicking you, he would advise you to lean forward at the moment of impact. So in other words, his kick took even more, had more of an oomph because you moved in. So 50 years go by, Roman is fine. This is 91 or 92. I see him in Gstaad. Occasionally we talk about it. I went to see this film called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh.
Oh, that was great.
There's a fight in there, and he does exactly the same thing. So Tarantino must have known that Bruce Lee was pulling this number on everybody.
Mm.
He used to say, come in, and then he'd move back and say, no good. And of course, so I enjoyed that very much because I knew the players. But of course, if you try to say that to a man in the street, they say, yeah, right, sure. They won't believe you, but I knew because Roman brought him over to beat me up. And then we became friends. Anyway.
You know what? That sounds like one of the best possible endings to this podcast. If that's your last story, that's fantastic.
Well, you've been most gracious, both of you, and thank you very much for having me. And I'm available, like all great hookers, at any time.
He sounds more like me than I do.
Okay. I tell you what.
He called me interview.
Thank you, Michael.
Why don't you give the show to Roy? I guarantee you he'll enjoy it.
All right, I'll tell. I didn't give anything to Roy. I didn't even offer him a drink.
No, I gave me.
Oh man, he has been
But then,
crying. I want to see Taki. I want to see Taki.
well, he can see me anytime. Although
Oh,
neither swing
now I'm
that way.
jealous. Now I'm jealous. Now you're going to make him more interesting.
Well,
Okay.
I am going to tell the audience that I hope you will pick up Taki's latest book, The Alpha Male, and I actually hope you'll pick up his previous books as well. Reminds me, I'm going to have to go on Amazon or go to Barnes and Noble this afternoon.
Amazon.
Okay.
I don't know about to know.
All right.
Thank you again, Roy.
Thank you for having me here.
Wonderful.
Thank you for inviting me to your home.
No.
And we'll see you again next time on The View from Here, Behind Enemy Lines. Don't forget to rate the show. Please share it with everyone you know, and we'll see you next time. Mike, do you have any closing words?
This gentleman over here is extremely interesting. I suggest you look him up.
Very interesting. And we've only touched the surface of his life.
In depth next time.
Okay. So long.
Given sexual prowess, I think that's all you should touch.
Let me stop that. There we go.